Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to take derivatives of functions that involve the natural logarithmic function. So we're going to use some rules we've seen before, like product rule, quotient rule, etc. But I need to introduce these new rules that deal directly with the natural logarithmic function. First, the derivative of a natural logarithmic function, ln of x, is just 1 over x. Second, what we're going to use in this problem, if we have, instead of just natural log of x by itself, this natural log of a function of x, so ln of g of x, then the derivative is 1 over whatever you're taking the log of, just like up here. But if you have a function of x in here, you have to multiply it by the derivative. So derivative of f is going to be derivative of g over g. So for example, if I had natural log of, let's say, x to the fourth. So I'd have 1 over x to the fourth times the derivative of x to the fourth, which is 4x cubed. Okay, so I'm going to use this rule to differentiate this function here, natural log of 5 minus 7x squared, all over 19 times the square root of x. Now, there are different approaches that we could take to this. We could use either the product rule or the quotient rule. I'm actually going to use the product rule on this just to get the answer in the form that Hawks has their final answer in. So I'm going to write this as natural log of 5 minus 7x squared times 119, so the 19 is still in the denominator, and square root of x in the denominator is going to be x to the minus 1/2. Okay. So I'm going to use a product rule in this function where, so my first function is natural log of 5 minus 7x squared. My second function is 1/19 x to the minus 1/2. So it's important to see how I really have the same function, I've just written it in a different form. So now, using the product rule, I'll have this function, 1/19 x to the minus 1/2, times the derivative of this function. So I'll just write, to refresh your memory, I'll write the product rule down here. The derivative of g times h is equal to h times the derivative of g plus g times the derivative of h. So this right here is my g, and this right here is my h. So I just wrote down my h, and now you take a derivative of g. So here I use my differentiation rules for logarithmic functions. So I'm going to take 1 over whatever I'm taking the natural log of. So that's 5 minus 7x squared. And then I take the derivative of what we're taking the log of. So derivative of 5 minus 7x squared. Well, the 5 won't contribute anything. We just have a minus 7x squared. The derivative of that is minus 7 times 2x. I'll come back and simplify this later. So that covers this part of the product rule. Now I have the other part to cover. So I have natural log of 5 minus 7x squared. And now I have to take the derivative, so the derivative of my h function, which is this. And for this I use the power rule. So I still have the 1/19. And then the derivative of x to the minus 1/2 by the power rule is minus 1/2 x to the minus 1/2 minus 1. Okay. So now I've finished differentiating. I just need to clean up this mess. Okay. So first, this exponent, minus 1/2 minus 1, use a common denominator, and you get minus 3/2. So now to rewrite this in a cleaned up form, I have minus 7 times 2x, so I have minus 14x in the numerator. And then I have, so x to the minus 1/2 is the same as 1 over x to the 1/2. So now I have, in the denominator, 19 x to the half, and then 5 minus 7x squared. So if I distribute 19x to the 1/2, through all of this, I'm going to get 19 times 5 is 95 x to the 1 half. And then I have minus, and then I have 19 times 7, which is 133, x to the 1 half times x squared. So 1 half plus 2 is 5 halves. So x to the 5 halves. So now I've rewritten all of this part. So the key thing here was putting this back in the denominator is x to the plus 1 half in the denominator. So then I have 19x to the 1 half distributed through here. That's how I got this denominator right here. Now for the other term, I'm going to have natural log of 5 minus 7x squared in the numerator, and also have this minus 1 half in the numerator. So I'll have a minus out front. My numerator is natural log of 1 half natural log of 5 minus 7x squared. And then in the denominator, I'm going to have the 19. And here I have x to the minus 3 halves, but that's the same as x to the positive 3 halves in the denominator. So I have x to the 3 halves, and so it's still quite messy, but this is as, for the most part, as much as I can simplify it. The only thing I could do differently is I could put this 2 down here in the denominator also and have 38x to the 3 halves instead of a 1 half up here. But this is the final form of the answer that Hawks had. So the important thing to keep in mind is that if you have natural log of a function of x, the derivative of that is 1 over that function times the derivative of that function. So derivative of natural log of g is g prime over g.